Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. You have it all wrong. It's the spot price that matters, not the price that you pay for gold and silver. Let's explore. That is the opinion of Jan Nieuwenhuis. We've actually covered some of this material before. Very interesting. This comes to us from Seeking Alpha and was shared with me by YouTuber Henry Q. Coin demand of little relevance to the gold price. This also applies to silver too. In summary, they say because coin gold demand makes up a small part of total demand, it doesn't have much impact on the gold price. Demand for gold coins must be seen as a retail sentiment indicator. The price of gold is predominantly set at the wholesale market by institutional supply and demand. I think we can pick a lot of this apart as we go through with this. And it also obviously applies to silver coins and about the gold to silver ratio. Gold coin demand makes up that very small part of total demand and thus doesn't have much impact on the gold price, it goes on to say. Demand for gold coins must be seen as a retail sentiment indicator. In the gold space, it is often assumed that whenever demand for gold coins rises and the premiums these coins attract escalate, the price of gold should skyrocket accordingly. This is a false assumption because gold coin demand accounts for less than 8% of total demand. This can't possibly have a large impact on the gold price. Now let's pick that apart a little bit because yes, he is exactly right that coin demand, and it's not just coin, it's rounds and bars too. That's something that's very important to distinguish because people don't just buy gold coins or silver coins, they buy rounds, privately issued rounds, and also bars and bullion, and that's can be a pretty large part. In other words, when you buy a 100-kilo Pamp Suisse gold bar, that's a pretty big chunk of gold, or a kilo bar, or what have you. And it does happen, same thing with silver. In fact, it's even more so in the case for silver. You will see bar demand because it's more affordable to get a kilo bar of gold than it is to get a 100-gram bar of silver. And so there is that aspect as well too. Now let's also take a look about this situation as far as demand. This Jan author here is totally discounting what the central banks are doing. The central banks are driving a lot of the demand. Russia, Turkey, India, China, they're accumulating and they're taking a lot of gold off the market for sure. And it's and also the ETFs, the electronic trading, the exchange traded funds, and the ETPs and the like. There is some gold and silver, contrary to what some people say. That is delivered to satisfy those contracts, at least in part. Now we know there is more, and that's the manipulative aspect of this. Where there's obviously more paper out there than what the metal is represented by. And so that is something to consider too here too, and where it's going. And the same misconception applies to silver coins. It talks about that here. But the heart of the misconception is a lack of knowledge between the gold retail and wholesale market. The price of gold is predominantly set at the wholesale market by institutional supply and demand, and the essence of gold supply and demand dynamics. And that is something may have to explore at a later time. But, it is something to say because we've talked to a broker and who has connections, and some of these dealers also have connections to the wholesale market. And they're paying higher prices too. There is premiums are not just accumulated from the dealer side. They're up and down the supply chain because, and especially in this particular situation, because of a lack of supply of product, which is obviously different than the metal itself. That hasn't really changed, except for mining is scaled back, obviously, for now. But that will resume in due course, for sure. And so now, then it talks about the gold to silver ratio with the misconception with silver coins. And it said that the real gold to silver ratio, the time of the writing of the article, it's roughly 111 to 1, still at record highs, meaning it takes 111 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. Some precious metal analysts, however, claim the ratio is, in the real world, closer to 70. The latter ratio is misleading because it's based on coin prices, and there are many reasons why these are not representative of the price of the actual metal. Well, let's talk about what the real world is. The real world for most of us is the price that we sell our precious metals for. So we buy gold and silver coins, rounds and bars, knowing that we're paying a premium above spot price. Now, if you have an American Silver Eagle compared to a generic silver round, and you take those and sell them, well, some shops and some institutions may not buy your privately issued round, especially if it's not something recognizable, like a Salivate Metal round is not recognizable typically in the general marketplace, whereas a Golden State Mint Buffalo round might be to most places. So there's even some difference in some of the privately issued silver pieces out there. But let's say they give you 5% under spot for it. There is your real price for silver. But American Silver Eagle, you might get $1 above spot price for it. There you go. That is the real price discovery, is when you go to sell your metal. That's the reality. That is the real world. At the time of selling, that is what you're talking about. And that can be tracked in your portfolios depending on different places that will buy your precious metals. That is the actual world that we're talking about. Spot price does not matter in that case because it is simply a barometer and nothing more. So it matters in so much that it is a barometer, but in the end, it doesn't matter when it comes to price realization. And that is something to consider as well, too. So I think the author here is putting too much emphasis on spot price when spot price is merely a barometer of the real world, and as far as a basis for buying and selling. Now, obviously, spot price being that barometer, when you go to buy, that's another aspect of the real world. When you're paying $150 to $200 over spot for gold, a 5-10% increase or what have you, you are talking about what you're having to shell out. That is the real world, and that is closer to 70. So it's not misleading, and by any stretch, it's just that the barometers are changing, and that breadth and the ratios or the percentages are changing in the premiums. And he uses the example in a Twitter feed saying the price of a gold coin is the real price of gold, is like saying the price of a bag of chips is the real price of potatoes. Well, and again, this is one that's very easy to, I think, set aside, although I understand what the author is saying, and it does make sense, obviously. The commodities that are used to get to a bag of chips, when you go to buy chips, you are paying for the processing of that chip. With gold and silver coins, especially in this day and age, it's a lot different with that premium tied to it. We've talked about that ad nauseum on this channel. And it is, but even in the case, we're still paying a premium, even if things are back to normal. That is the real price that you're paying, no matter where you buy it from. It may vary from dealer to dealer, but you are paying a level above spot price. And that's because all the different entities that it took to get that ounce of gold or silver to you had their hands on it in one way or the other, whether it be manufacturing costs, whether it be broker fees, or profit for bullion dealers. Anyways, the price of a gold coin is not the price of gold, just like the price of a bag of chips is not the price of potatoes. Producing a gold coin always, a gold coin enjoys manufacturing costs, which are translated into percentage premium on the price of the coin above prevailing spot price. As a rule of thumb, the lower the weight of gold or silver physical product, the higher the premium above the spot price. On average, a gold coin weighing 1 troy ounce is sold at a 4% premium over spot. Coins weighing less than a troy ounce have a higher premium. That's right, elementary. Everybody really knows that. It's a rule of thumb, and we understand that to be the case. I guess it's a matter of semantics when it's all said and done. But when we're seeing that price divergence, then it does mean every time there's a divergence between these, this 4% premium is normal. When it goes up even more, there is a separation, which means that the former is less relevant when it comes to the actual marketplace. More on that in a moment. Earlier this year, for example, the Swiss Mint produced a coin weighing only 0.063 grams. Obviously, the fabrication costs to make this coin were much higher than the value of the gold coin. And the result, that coin was sold at a premium of 6,470% over spot. In the wholesale market in London, gold bars weighing 400 ounces with fineness as no less than 999 particles per 1,000 were traded. Such bars are referred to as London Good Delivery bars and have no premium. If you buy a 400-ounce bar in the London bullion market, you pay the spot price, although maybe some packing and handling costs are charged. But I'd like to know where you can do that. I didn't even know you could actually pay and take physical delivery of the London gold bars, but I've never looked into that because I don't think none of us can afford to get a 400-ounce bar. Because the metal in a silver coin is cheaper than the metal of a gold coin in the same weight, but the fabrication costs for both coins are the same, silver coins attract higher premiums than gold coins. That's true. On average, silver coins are sold at a 10% premium over spot. Any additional costs, such as shipping, are translated at a higher premium for a silver coin than a gold coin of the same weight. In the current corona crisis, in some parts of the world, bullion coins in high demand, but production and transport are constrained. At many coin dealers, this has resulted in extremely high premiums, especially for silver coins. That's just it. There you go. The production and transport are constrained. So here we can see the divergence here. U.S. Silver Eagle Premium and APMEX up 120%. In some cases, let's take a look at that chart closer here. Well, you really can't see it much more than this. Still a little blurry. Let's get back to the article here. In some places, premiums on gold coins reached 10% and premiums on silver coins reached 100%. Computing a gold-to-silver ratio from the prices of these coins, however, would be senseless. First of all, coins always carry a premium, no matter, while large bars in a wholesale market do not. In the wholesale market, coin premiums thus blur the real gold-to-silver ratio. Second, supply and demand data from GFMS points out gold coin demand is only 8% of total demand, and silver coin demand is 10% of total demand. So why would coin prices be reflective of the real world? Third, premiums on silver coins are usually higher and more sensitive to supply chain congestions, further skewing the gold-silver ratio derived from coin prices. Fourth, when demand for coins is elevated in one country, that doesn't mean demand is elevated all over the world. But the problem is it is elevated all over the world, in the world where silver coins are sold. And it's part of the culture. This is why real gold-silver ratio is not anywhere near 70. But the thing is, when you take a look at that, because of the supply and production constraints, that means that the manufacturing cost, you take those out, you still have a very heavy premium, which means that demand is affected by this, and it's purely because of the physical. And even though it's 10% of total demand, it is now growing. There's a growing demand. There's more people now. So that's just it. As far as the total demand for the actual metal itself in all different categories, heck, silver, over between 55 and 60% of demand for silver is in electronics and industry. But when the demand for the metal, and it's a subcategory of demand. I think that Jan is missing out here the very fact that there can be sub-markets within the whole silver space, and this sub-market is driving an area. So in other words, yeah, if you're going to go buy one of these good delivery bars with, quote, no premiums, that's one thing, but how many people do that? How many people actually do that? I don't know of anybody who does. They want to get the physical, they want to get it in a digestible form. It would be foolish to go get a 1,000-ounce silver bar or 400-ounce gold bar. So I think there's some aspect that they're missing here, not thinking through that thought process. Then he goes on to say, sucking metal through a straw. Another important dynamic I haven't mentioned is that coin demand is very volatile. Sometimes demand is low and coin production and mints grinds to a halt. The next moment, demand explodes. Actually, that's wrong too. It is volatile, but it doesn't grind to a halt. You can look at charts and see American Silver Eagles. And yes, it can vary greatly for a month, but there's still enough demand out there month to month that the mints keep operating. They're grinding to a halt now for obvious reasons, but that's a different story. The moment demand explodes for practical reasons, mints can't possibly produce enough coins exactly when investors increase demand. Supply chains issues create higher premiums. Yes, but we're seeing something that we haven't seen ever before in history because of the coronavirus. Supply issues create higher premiums when demand outpaces supply, because manufacturing coins is like sucking metal through a straw, as Keith Weiner from Monetary Metals once put it. The capacity to produce silver and gold coins is inelastic. Manufacturers can only stamp them out so fast. It's like pulling liquid from a large pool through a thin straw. Yes, it's drawing liquid out of the pool, but the straw can only flow so much. I agree with that to a point, but not. But I don't think it's quite as bad as they're saying there, because mints can pull back and they can deliver. Obviously, you look at that demand between month to month from the U.S. Mint and Royal Canadian Mint and whatever, they are able to produce a lot more and sell more to meet demand. They have the facility, they have the technology, they can create a lot of coins at once. Make no mistake, and they're able to keep up with demand even here before a lot of this coronavirus stuff happened, and even in the midst of it, they're producing a lot. It's automated production. They can scale that back very easily. They can upscale it as well too. Now, obviously, when they go to a maximum, it does become very difficult. But if it gets to the point where it's that bad, then that means that would blow out his figures here, which are 8% or 10% of total demand, which means that it's growing right now. That's under normal circumstances where it's that much of total demand. I think it's grown beyond that now. Needless to say, the current pandemic, there are many extraordinary supply chain issues making the straw thinner than ever. I do agree with that. Fortunately, there is also other ways to access the pool through buying coins. Yes, but that pool is going to be just getting the skim of chlorine up the top, and that's the ETFs and the paper markets SLV. That's only the ghost of real precious metals when you're talking about ETFs and futures and the like. Until you actually take physical delivery, you really don't have the confidence that you're buying the real thing. And that's, I think, where there's that disconnect in this particular article here. Very interesting, thought-provoking. I will say this, that when you see this demand go up, and again, talking about that divergence between spot price and why spot price is merely a barometer, and the real price is in the buyback from these dealers. And when dealers buy back and are willing to pay you a noticeable difference, for Eagles over spot, like $4 over spot for Eagles, which they would have never have done in a normal market, that is real price discovery from your end. There's several different ratios. There's several different price points. You have the price of gold and silver on the COMEX. You've got the price of gold and silver in the futures market. You've got the price of gold and silver that many dealers post on their websites, and you go look at all the dealers posting on spot price. It's different every single place. There's no real single place to go to get spot price. It's merely a barometer, and it is fluid from moment to moment. Some of the reasons why that is the case, we've covered a little bit of that on this channel before in the past, but you can chalk it off to delays in reporting. Some bullion dealer A may refresh their gold and silver prices once every 30 seconds. Bullion dealer B may refresh their rates every minute and a half or 2 minutes. You don't know. And they lock in the prices for a certain amount of time when you add it to your cart. And then the COMEX, different places, how they source that. It's a very mysterious thing, the spot price is, in my view. I believe there should be one place you go to get the spot price, and everybody should use that and should show those prices in real time and lock them in as they normally do. But the buyback price has gone up for most dealers out there. When you go to sell to them, they're going to give you more than usual. And why is that? Because of the supply chain issues that are outlined in this very article. So this is fascinating. It is an interesting thing. And thanks again to Henry Q for sending it along. But I do disagree with it. I mean, and I think it's just a matter of semantics in so much that spot price does matter, but it is merely a barometer. The real price is what you sell it for when you cash out, and what you pay for it when you buy it, and that loss or gain that is done in between. That's the real world when it's all said and done. That's what matters, is what you are paying for it and what you are selling it for. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Post your thoughts below. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for watching, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.